ClancyPasta presents, My Professor Went Searching for a Mysterious Mineshaft. I Don't Think He Came Back. Written by Lankster Gangster. As per the college curriculum, I am required to take some science classes for my general education credits. Considering all of the horror stories of how bad biology and chemistry classes were, I figured geography would be one of the easier classes to take. Well, I didn't research into the exact geography class I was taking, so by the time I realized it was a decently tough class, it was too late. However, the starting stretch of it wore off after a while, especially after getting help from my professor, Dr. Carter. Unlike most professors at my school, Dr. Carter tried to make the class as easy as possible, and he was more than willing to take time out of his day to sit with students and help teach the material. I met with him during his office hours once or twice every month to get help on the material, and each time he made it so much easier to understand the work before me. Throughout our 6 or so meetings, I got to know Dr. Carter quite well. Even though he was a small and skinny middle-aged man, he was heavy into outdoor stuff. He had told us in class some of his adventures hiking in national parks, deep-sea diving, and exploring out into areas none of us had even heard of. It was very evident he was passionate about his hobbies, and I have a strong feeling that he would have done it full-time had he not become a teacher. Also in our meetings, as we would wrap up going over material, Dr. Carter would ask me how things were going. He always liked to hear how his students were handling other classes, and just college life in general. He would share what he was currently trying to do at the moment, which was mostly exploring. During our last meeting in person together, he told me that he was having trouble searching for some mineshaft out in a desert-like area way on the outskirts of the university's town. "I've been trying to find it for a month now," he told me. "I've been exploring and hiking in that area for a while, and not once did I ever see it. But on that one day, I found it there. I don't know how to describe it." "What did you say it was again?" I asked him. "It was a mineshaft, or cave," he said. "I think it was the former because its entrance was a large hole in the ground, and the only way to go down inside it was by using a connected ladder. I know that area like the back of my hand, and I've been there every weekend since I've seen it, but I haven't seen it since." "So why do you keep looking for it?" I asked. "It might have been a mirage or something like that." "I felt something while I was there. This feeling of bliss. Like whatever was down there was nothing but amazing. I know it sounds weird, but I never felt a feeling like that before in my life, and I want to feel it again." I looked at him when he said it. His gray eyes were full of fascination and desperation. If it wasn't evident how much he wanted to find it by how he was speaking, the look in his eyes made it crystal clear. "Look, that might be a bad idea," I said. "I don't know why, but I felt that something was off about this mineshaft." "Oh, I know," he said. "The whole thing sounds sketchy for sure, but I have to prove to myself that what I saw was in fact real, and I really want to experience that feeling again and explore what is down there." Both perplexed and creeped out by his fascination for this mysterious mineshaft, I decided to leave. I told Dr. Carter to be careful and that if he ever found it again, to let me know. He told me he would, and I walked out of his office. That was the last time I saw Dr. Carter before our school shut down due to the pandemic. Later that week, he sent us an email stating that he was going to post all of our remaining homework and class activities online, and that he would be available via video conference in case we needed help with anything. Since I just wanted to get everything over with, I decided to complete all of the homework way before the end of the year. After doing so, all that was left to do was to wait for the final exam. We had taken our latest exam the day before the official shutdown, so this would be the only exam being given online for the class. I found the last part of the material pretty understandable, so I felt no need to ever contact Dr. Carter, and the story of that mineshaft fell into the back compartment of my brain. Dr. Carter would email us once or twice a week, letting us know of any errors or updates to any remaining homework and such. He also sent a link to use in order to contact him in case we had any questions or concerns regarding the class. However, he sent his last email to the class 2 weeks ago. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Some of the other students in our class group chat also mentioned that they noticed Dr. Carter hadn't been answering any emails or video calls for a while now. With the exam inching closer and closer, many of the students began to freak out more and more. He had told us early on what the exam would be on, but of course, there would be other students who wanted to talk to him just one more time before the exam took place. A part of me did worry a bit for Dr. Carter. In fact, after remembering our last meeting, I began wondering if he indeed had found that mineshaft, but either got hurt or stuck without alerting anyone beforehand. It's not like I could do much to help. He never told me where exactly he had seen this place, and I lived in another city, so I had no clue where to even look. Still, I did send an email to both Dr. Carter and the head of the geography department at my school. The department head responded very quickly, saying that she had been hearing about him not replying back, and that if she didn't hear back within 24 hours, then she would be calling the police to perform a wellness check. She promised to update me if she heard back, and I told her I would do the same. This morning, I heard my phone ding with an email notification. I looked to see I had received an email from Dr. Carter. I let out a sigh of relief as I opened it, expecting to see either an update about the exam or an email from him personally saying that he was okay. Instead, all that it contained was a link. I checked back to his older emails, and it was the same link he had used for people to video call him with. I did feel slightly concerned when I noticed that. Why would he send just a link to his students? But then I noticed that I seemed to be the only person receiving this email. To clarify, the "to" bar in each of his emails would be jam-packed with 100 other email addresses, as he always sent out his emails in one large group. In this email, however, it was just me. I don't know why, but something felt very, very wrong about this email. Yet, I still wanted to make sure he was at least alive, so I decided to click the link and call him. I sat in the waiting room for about 5 minutes, and just when I was about to leave, I heard the other end pick up. "Hello?" Dr. Carter said in a weird, almost completely different voice. I looked up and felt chills go down my spine. Dr. Carter was staring back at me through the computer with this large smile plastered on his face. But then I noticed some other peculiarities. Part of his hair looked like it had been ripped out of his scalp. Some of his front teeth were now gone, and he had several bruises on his face. His eyes were also opened as wide as possible. Hi, Doctor," I said. "So good to see you again," he responded, a smile still wide on his lips. Did you find that place you were looking for?" I asked him. "Oh, indeed," he responded gleefully. "I went down there and can you guess what I found?" I remained silent, not finding the ability to open my mouth and speak out of fear. "Go on, guess," he said. "That feeling you felt?" I said, a quiver of fear in my voice. "Yes," he said enthusiastically. "But not only that, I even found a gift for my troubles. I found some new friends." "Wait, what?" I said. "You know, I kind of wish the others could have come with me, because they all wanted to leave. I could bring only one home, though. I couldn't fit the rest. The remaining ones still need a new home, but more people need to come visit them for that to happen. It would be quite the adventure indeed." I was petrified as I watched him gleefully say this, his eyes and smile seemingly getting wider. I truly thought Dr. Carter had lost his mind, and what I was experiencing before me was a Class A breakdown. "I even found it on a map so I can show it to you," he said. "That way, you can go on your own if you want." Dr. Carter got up from his chair and began walking to a closet behind him. That was when things got scarier. His walk was so deformed. I can't even describe it correctly, but the closest thing I can think of is if all the bones in his legs were broken, but he could still manage to hold all of his weight. I looked at his pants and I noticed what appeared to be claw marks running up and down his pants. I then noticed that the back of his shirt was also ripped, and a major open wound was visible inside of the holes. He then turned back to the camera while carrying the map, and I became fixated on the crazy look in his eyes. That's when I noticed something I'd missed earlier that made my stomach drop and all of the blood inside me turn to ice. His once gray eyes were now the color blue. Doctor, what happened to your eyes? I asked as I moved my cursor over to the end call button, anticipating the worst. Dr. Carter stopped walking and dropped the map to the ground. He looked up at me, and I discovered his smile had disappeared. His face began contorting into one of extreme anger and astonishment, like I had discovered his darkest secret. Then, Dr. Carter opened his mouth almost twice as large as any human could and let out the most unhuman, ear-piercing shriek I'd ever heard. I threw my headphones away from my head while I clicked the end call button just as Dr. Carter lunged toward the screen. I sat in my chair, catching my breath for a few minutes. I then called the police to let them know what had just happened. The dispatcher told me that she would be sending an officer over to my house to take my statement, and that she would be contacting Dr. Carter's town's police department to check on him. Since I lived a bit of the way outside my town, I knew it would take some time for the police to arrive to my house. I called my mom, whose place of employment was still open despite the pandemic, to let her know what had just happened. Given how stressed I was on the phone, she told me she was on her way home and would let me know when she got into the neighborhood. I sat in my room, practically shaking from the fear inside of me. About 10 minutes later, I heard a knock on the door, and a muffled voice saying, "Police." I got up and quickly approached the door. As I passed by the main window, I saw both my mom's car and the police car parked in the driveway. I checked my phone, but the last text I had gotten from my mom was the day prior. She always texted me when she got in the neighborhood, yet her car was parked and empty in our driveway. I then heard the voice say, "Police," again, and I felt my entire world collapse around me when I realized that it was the same voice I had first heard come from Dr. Carter.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. I want to give a huge thanks to all of my supporters over at Patreon and YouTube memberships. Your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, you can head on over to my Patreon at patreon.com/ClancyPasta, or click the join button below to become a member. And if you'd like creepy cool shirts, make sure to head on over and check out my official merch store for some awesome tees, hoodies, stickers, and more. Alright. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great night. Cheers.